High Admiral Xylera stood before the gleaming control center of the Archean flagship Celestial Dominance, her iridescent scales reflecting the soft blue glow of holographic displays. The massive vessel, stretching 20 kilometers from bow to stern, led a fleet of 500 ships toward the Sol system. After centuries of observing Earth from afar, the Archean High Council had finally authorized first contact, though their true intentions were far from peaceful. Status report on the human detection systems, Xylera commanded, her multifaceted eyes scanning the tactical displays. The humans' primitive satellites and radar systems should be easy to evade with Archean cloaking technology. High Admiral, their detection capabilities remain unchanged since our last survey, First Observer Kane reported, his tentacled appendages dancing across the control interface. Their most advanced systems are barely capable of detecting objects beyond their moon's orbit. Our approach remains undetected. Xylera allowed herself a small gesture of satisfaction, a slight ripple of her ceremonial crest. The Archean Empire had conquered 17 civilizations in the past millennium, each time using the same strategic approach. Appear as benevolent visitors, gain trust, analyze weaknesses, and strike when least expected. Humans would be no different. Begin broadcasting the first contact protocol on all standard frequencies, she ordered. The message had been carefully crafted over decades of studying human communications, promises of technological advancement, medical breakthroughs, and peaceful cooperation. Everything their psychological analysis suggested would appeal to human nature. But as the transmission began, something unexpected happened. The holographic displays flickered, then stabilized, showing an entirely different message than what they had sent. The text was in perfect Archean script. "We've been expecting you, High Admiral Xylera. Your deception is noted. Perhaps we should discuss your real intentions." The control center fell silent. Xylera's scales shifted from their confident blue to a disturbed gray. "Impossible. Trace that signal." "High Admiral," Kane's voice trembled slightly. "The message originated from everywhere and nowhere. Our systems can't isolate it." Before Xylera could respond, every screen in the control center changed simultaneously. They showed detailed schematics of Archean ships, not just basic layouts, but classified weapons systems, shield frequencies, and command protocols. Information that even most Archean officers didn't have access to. "Full stop," Xylera commanded, her military training taking over despite her shock. "All ships maintain position." Something was very wrong. The humans shouldn't have this level of technology. They shouldn't even know the Archons existed. A new message appeared. "Your fleet carries enough firepower to reduce Earth's surface to ash. We know this. We also know about the 17 other civilizations you've conquered using the same tactics. The difference is, we've had centuries to prepare for this moment." Xylera's mind raced. The Archean Empire's standard conquest protocol relied heavily on the element of surprise and technological superiority. But these humans had somehow pierced their cloaking technology, accessed their secure systems, and knew their entire history. This was unprecedented. "High Admiral," Kane interrupted her thoughts, "we're detecting energy signatures everywhere. They're unlike anything in our database." The void of space around the Archean fleet seemed to shimmer, like heat waves rising from desert sand. Thousands of points of light began to appear, each one growing into what looked like tears in the fabric of reality itself. Through these tears, Xylera could see something. Structures or ships of impossible geometries, their surfaces seeming to bend light itself. Another message appeared. "We could have destroyed your fleet the moment you entered the solar system. But that's not our way. Instead, we offer you a choice. Turn back and tell your empire what you found here, or stay and learn why Earth has remained untouched by conquering forces for millennia. The choice is yours, High Admiral." For the first time in her 300-year military career, High Admiral Xylera felt something she had never experienced before, the realization that she was completely, utterly outmatched. The humans hadn't just prepared for this encounter. They had been playing a game several levels above anything the Archeans had imagined possible. As she stared at the impossible ships surrounding her fleet, Silara made a decision that would change the course of galactic history. She opened a channel to all vessels. "This is High Admiral Silara. Stand down all weapons. I wish to speak with Earth's leaders." As equals. The response was immediate. "A wise choice, High Admiral. Welcome to Earth space. Shall we begin the real first contact?" The diplomatic chamber aboard the International Space Station, Aegis, was unlike anything High Admiral Silara had expected. Rather than the primitive orbital platform her intelligence had reported, she found herself in a vast crystalline structure that somehow existed in parallel with the public station. The walls rippled with patterns that seemed to dance at the edge of comprehension, and the air itself hummed with barely contained energy. Dr. Sarah Chen, Earth's appointed representative, sat across from Silara with a calm demeanor that bordered on amusement. "You're wondering about the disparity between what your intelligence gathered and what you're seeing now," she said, not as a question but as a statement of fact. Silara's scales shifted through various shades of blue as she processed her surroundings. "How long have you been capable of this level of technology? Our most recent surveys showed nothing beyond basic spaceflight and primitive digital systems." "That was precisely what we wanted everyone to see," Sarah replied, gesturing to the space around them. A holographic display materialized, showing the Earth and its surrounding space. "What you're experiencing now is just the surface of what we call the Veil Network. Humanity learned long ago that broadcasting our capabilities would only invite conflict, so we chose a different path." The hologram expanded, revealing layers upon layers of invisible infrastructure surrounding Earth. A complex web of quantum fields, gravitational lenses, and things Silara's scientific training couldn't even begin to categorize. 150 years ago, Sarah continued, "we detected your first probe at the edge of our solar system. Instead of destroying it, we studied it. Through it, we learned about the Archean Empire, your conquest protocols, and the fate of those 17 civilizations. But more importantly, we learned how to hide from you. Truly hide." Silara's military discipline couldn't completely suppress her shock. "Impossible. That probe was equipped with our most advanced stealth technology. It was untraceable." Sarah smiled. "Nothing is untraceable, Admiral. Not when you understand how to read the quantum wake of a cloaking device. Your technology relies on bending light and energy around objects. Ours, we learned to step halfway out of reality itself." The hologram shifted again, showing what appeared to be normal space around Earth. Then, with a gesture from Sarah, the view changed. The seemingly empty void became alive with structure and motion. Vast arrays of geometrically impossible constructs that existed in a state between dimensions. "Your empire builds its strength through conquest and assimilation of technology," Sarah explained. "We built ours through patience, innovation, and the understanding that the best defense isn't always a bigger weapon. The Veil Network isn't just a defense system. It's a fundamental reimagining of what's possible with space, time, and consciousness itself." A subtle alert chimed, and Sarah glanced at a display only she could see. "Ah, it seems your fleet's automated systems just attempted to transmit a warning message to your homeworld. Don't worry, it was intercepted. We'd prefer to keep this conversation private for now." Silara's scales paled. "You've completely compromised our communications." "Admiral, we compromised your communications the moment your civilization launched its first faster-than-light transmission. We've been reading your empire's messages for longer than you've been alive, but we never interfered, until now." The implications hit Silara like a gravitational wave. Earth hadn't just developed advanced technology. They had fundamentally surpassed anything the Archean Empire had achieved. And they had done it all in secret, maintaining a facade of primitive development while building something that defied comprehension. "Why reveal yourselves now?" Silara asked, her voice steady despite her inner turmoil. "Why not simply remain hidden?" Sarah's expression grew more serious. Because the galaxy is changing, Admiral. We've detected things moving in the dark spaces between stars, things that make your empire look like children playing with toys. We've decided it's time for humanity to step out of the shadows, but not as conquerors or victims. We're offering the Archean Empire a choice. Continue down your path of conquest until you encounter something you can't defeat, or join us in preparing for what's coming. The hologram shifted one final time, showing something that made Silara's breath catch in her throat. A massive disturbance at the edge of known space, something that shouldn't exist by any laws of physics she understood. That, Sarah said quietly, is why we're talking now. The question is, High Admiral Silara, are you ready to learn what humanity has really been preparing for all these years? In the depths of Earth's quantum research facility beneath the Pacific Ocean, High Admiral Silara witnessed something that challenged everything she thought she knew about the universe. The chamber they stood in seemed to exist in multiple states simultaneously, its walls shifting between solid matter and pure energy. Dr. Marcus Wong, Earth's leading quantum physicist, manipulated a series of controls that appeared to float in the air around him. What you're about to see, Admiral, is why we maintained our facade of technological inferiority for so long. The universe is far more complex and far more dangerous than most species ever realize. The center of the chamber erupted in a display of light and shadow, forming into a three-dimensional map of the galaxy. But this was unlike any star chart Silara had ever seen. Between the familiar spiral arms of the Milky Way, she saw dark ribbons of something. They moved like living things, weaving between stars and through the very fabric of space-time itself. We call them void currents, Marcus explained, his hands dancing through the holographic display. Most species never detect them because they exist primarily in quantum space, but they're as real as gravity, and far more dangerous. They're growing, spreading, consuming the quantum potential of entire star systems. Silara's military training kicked in, analyzing the tactical implications. These currents, they follow patterns. They're not random. Exactly, Marcus nodded, his expression grim. They're being directed. Something is shepherding these currents, using them to slowly isolate entire sectors of space. We've tracked their movement for decades. At the current rate of expansion, they'll reach both Earth and Archean space within 50 years. The display zoomed in on one of the dark ribbons. Silara watched in horror as it passed through a star system. The stars remained visible, but something fundamental seemed to change about them. They looked empty, dead despite still burning. The void currents don't destroy matter, Marcus continued. They do something far worse. They sever a region's connection to quantum space itself. No FTL travel, no quantum communications, no advanced technology. Anything caught in their path is effectively thrown back into the Dark Ages. Sarah Chen stepped forward, her presence commanding attention. This is why we developed the Veil Network, Admiral. Not just as a defense against other species, but as a way to understand and potentially counter these currents. We've learned to exist partially in quantum space, to bend reality itself. But even with all our advancement, we're only beginning to comprehend what we're facing. Silara's scales shifted to a deep purple of concern. The Empire. We have no defense against this. Our technology, our weapons, they all rely on quantum principles we barely understand. Now you see why we revealed ourselves, Sarah said softly. Your empire's path of conquest would have left you vulnerable, scattered, unable to mount an effective defense when the currents reach your space. But together, she gestured, and the holographic display changed again. The Veil Network appeared, its impossible geometries now overlaid with familiar Archean energy patterns. Your empire's mastery of energy manipulation, combined with our understanding of quantum space, it could be the key to survival. Not just for Earth or the Archean Empire, but for all spacefaring life in the galaxy. Zillara watched as the simulation played out, showing how the combined technologies could potentially redirect, even repel the void currents. This would require unprecedented cooperation. The Empire has never truly allied with another species. We conquer, we absorb, we rule. Then perhaps, Marcus suggested, it's time for the Empire to evolve. Because make no mistake, Admiral, if we don't stand together, we will fall separately. The void currents aren't just a natural phenomenon. They're a weapon, wielded by something that considers both our species nothing more than insects to be swept aside. The chamber darkened, and in the holographic display, something massive moved behind the void currents. Its form was impossible to comprehend, existing in multiple dimensions simultaneously. But its purpose was clear. It was systematic, patient, and utterly alien in its intentions. We have 50 years, Sarah stated firmly. 50 years to overcome centuries of distrust, to combine our knowledge, and to prepare for a war unlike anything either of our species has ever faced. The question is, Admiral Zillara, are you ready to help us rewrite the rules of engagement? Zillara stared at the display, watching as the simulation showed more star systems falling to the creeping darkness. Her answer would change not just the fate of two civilizations, but potentially the course of all life in the galaxy. The weight of that decision pressed down on her like the gravity of a neutron star. 3 months after first contact, the joint human-Archean research facility on Europa buzzed with activity. Through its quantum-shifted windows, Jupiter's massive form dominated the sky, a constant reminder of the vast scales they were working with. Inside, humans and Archeans worked side by side, though not without tension. High Admiral Zillara stood beside Dr. Chen, watching as teams of scientists from both species attempted to merge their technologies. The latest test had ended in another failure, the third this week. An Archean energy matrix had violently rejected integration with Earth's quantum systems, nearly breaching the facility's containment fields. Your people are frustrated, Sarah observed, noting the color changes rippling through the scales of the Archean scientists. They're not used to failure. The Empire succeeds through force of will and superior technology, Zillara replied, her own scales showing traces of irritation. This collaboration is foreign to us, especially since you still haven't shared the full extent of your capabilities. Sarah's expression remained neutral. Trust is earned, Admiral. But perhaps it's time to show you why we're approaching this the way we are. She gestured toward a sealed door marked Project Synthesis. Care to see what we've been developing in parallel? The chamber beyond the door took Zilara's breath away. It was filled with what appeared to be thousands of floating crystals, each pulsing with inner light. Between them, strands of pure energy wove complex patterns that seemed to respond to thought itself. Welcome to the heart of humanity's greatest achievement, Sarah said proudly. We call it the Collective Consciousness Network, or CCN. It's how we've managed to advance so quickly while staying hidden. A neural network? Zillara questioned, her military training immediately assessing potential weapons applications. Far more than that, Sarah corrected. It's a way to share not just thoughts, but entire paradigms of understanding. Watch. She stepped forward and raised her hand. The crystal network responded instantly, creating a display that showed not just images or data, but concepts that Zillara could somehow understand instinctively. Every human connected to the network contributes their unique perspective, their way of thinking, Sarah explained. We don't merge minds or lose individuality. We amplify our collective problem-solving ability while maintaining our distinct consciousness. It's how we develop the Veil Network, how we learn to step between dimensions. Zillara watched in fascination as the network demonstrated how humans had pieced together understanding of quantum mechanics, dimensional physics, and consciousness itself. This is beyond anything in the Empire's archives. Even the species we conquered that claimed to have telepathic abilities never achieved anything close to this, because they were trying to control thoughts, Sarah explained. We learned to share understanding. there's a fundamental difference. She paused, considering her next words carefully. We'd like to adapt the system for Archean neural patterns. Silara's scales shifted to shocked white. You want to connect our minds to your network. The Empire would never. The Empire needs to adapt. Sarah interrupted firmly. The void currents aren't just a physical threat, Admiral. They're an assault on consciousness itself. We've detected patterns in their movement that suggest they're not just seeking to isolate space. They're trying to prevent exactly this kind of collective understanding from emerging. The display shifted, showing how the void currents had systematically cut off regions of space where civilizations were beginning to develop similar technologies. Whatever's controlling them doesn't want species to unite, to share knowledge. It wants us divided, isolated, easier to control. A team of human and Archean scientists worked nearby, their frustration evident as another attempt at technology integration failed. Sarah gestured toward them. Your energy manipulation technology is incredible, Admiral. Combined with our quantum understanding, we could create defenses the void entities never anticipated. But as long as we work separately, treating each other with suspicion, we're playing into their hands. Solara watched the team's work, her tactical mind processing the implications. The Empire had always valued strength through uniformity, conquest through superiority. But facing an enemy that could literally rewrite the rules of reality itself, perhaps it was time for a different approach. If we did this, she said slowly, if we connected to your network, how would you prevent the Empire's secrets from being exposed? Sarah smiled. The same way we maintain individual privacy now. The network shares understanding, not specific thoughts or memories. You can't access what others don't willingly contribute. But what you can do is understand how they think, how they solve problems. Imagine your engineers not just working with humans, but truly understanding how we approach quantum mechanics. Imagine our scientists genuinely grasping your mastery of energy manipulation. The crystal network pulsed, as if responding to the potential of the idea. Solara found herself drawn to its rhythm, seeing for the first time how humanity had achieved so much in secret. They hadn't just developed advanced technology, they had fundamentally changed how they approached problem-solving itself. The Empire won't like this, she said finally. They'll see it as a threat to their authority. The Empire, Sarah replied softly, needs to decide what's more important, maintaining control or surviving what's coming. Because make no mistake, Admiral, divided, we'll both fall. United, we might just rewrite the rules of the game entirely. The warning came sooner than anyone had expected. A void current, larger than any previously detected, was approaching the outer edges of Archean space. The Joint Command Center beneath Europa erupted into controlled chaos as both species mobilized for their first real test against the enemy. High Admiral Solara stood at the center of the chamber, her scales now modified with quantum-sensitive crystalline patterns, a visible sign of the unprecedented integration between human and Archean technology. Beside her, Dr. Chen monitored the collective consciousness network as it processed data from millions of minds simultaneously. The current will reach the Archean colony of Nexus Prime in 6 hours, Solara announced, her voice steady despite the stakes. 3 million colonists, no time for evacuation. We make our stand there. The combined fleet assembled in record time. Archean warships now enhanced with human quantum technology, their familiar sleek designs interrupted by impossible geometries that shifted in and out of normal space. Alongside them, humanity's vessels emerged from their dimensional veils, their true forms visible for the first time to their allies. Through the CCN, Solara could feel the focused determination of every human and Archean connected to the network. Not their thoughts or memories, but their collective will, their shared understanding of what needed to be done. It was unlike anything she had experienced in centuries of military command. Energy matrix is stable, Dr. Marcus Wong reported from his station. The integration is holding. Better than any test we've run. Sarah nodded grimly. Because now we're not trying to force the integration. We're allowing it to happen naturally through shared purpose. She turned to Xilora. Your ships are in position. It's time. The void current appeared on their displays, a writhing darkness that seemed to devour the very essence of space-time itself. Behind it, barely visible to their enhanced sensors, massive shapes moved with terrible purpose, the architects of the galaxy's isolation finally revealing themselves. By the Empire, one of the Archean officers whispered, their scales paling at the sight. They're not even fully in our universe. No, Sarah confirmed. They exist primarily in quantum space, using the currents to reshape reality itself. But that's where we have the advantage. We understand both realms now, together. Xilora gave the command they had trained months for. Initiate protocol synthesis. The combined fleet moved as one, their technologies no longer fighting each other, but working in perfect harmony. Archean energy manipulation systems, guided by human quantum understanding, began to create something new in space, a countercurrent of their own. Through the CCN, Xilora could feel the strain on both species as they pushed their unified technology to its limits. The void current approached, its darkness reaching out like tentacles of anti-reality toward the colony. It's not enough, Marcus called out, his hands dancing through holographic controls. The current is too strong. We need more power. No, Sarah said suddenly, her eyes wide with realization. We don't need more power. We need more understanding. She turned to Xilora, the Empire's archives. The knowledge you've gathered from 17 conquered civilizations. We need it all, now. Xilora didn't hesitate. Centuries of imperial doctrine fell away in the face of extinction. Upload everything to the network. Full access, no restrictions. The CCN exploded with new information. Technologies, theories, and understandings from dozens of species flooding into the collective consciousness. Human and Archean minds worked together, processing, combining, creating new solutions in real time. The fleet's countercurrent began to change, incorporating elements from civilizations long thought lost. The darkness of the void current met this new force, and for the first time, it was pushed back. Through their enhanced sensors, they could see the massive entities behind the current reacting with what could only be described as surprise. These beings, used to manipulating reality unopposed, suddenly faced resistance they hadn't encountered in eons of isolation and conquest. It's working, Marcus shouted, his display showing the current's retreat. The colony. We're saving it. But Xilora and Sarah both saw something more in the data flooding through the network. We're not just saving the colony, Sarah said quietly. We're showing them we understand, that we can see them, that we can fight back. The void entities began to withdraw, pulling their current back with them. But before they retreated completely, something unprecedented happened. A communication, sent directly through quantum space, received simultaneously by every mind connected to the network. You have learned to think as one while remaining many. You have merged strength without losing self. This was not anticipated. We will return, but you have earned time to prepare. As the entities vanished into the quantum realm, taking their current with them, the combined fleet maintained position, human and Archean crews alike processing what had just occurred. They fear us now, Xilora realized, her scales shifting through colors of wonder and determination. Not our weapons or our technology, but our ability to understand, to adapt, to unite. Sarah nodded, already seeing through the network how both species were processing this victory, learning from it, growing stronger. This was just the beginning. They'll return with new tactics, try to find ways to divide us. But they don't understand what they've actually done. What's that? Xilora asked, though through the CCN, she was beginning to grasp the answer. They've given us a common purpose. Humanity hid its advancement out of fear of conquest. The Empire conquered out of fear of weakness, but facing extinction. Sarah smiled. That has a way of putting things in perspective. Around them, through the network, They could feel both species already beginning to change, to evolve, to understand each other in ways that would have been impossible months ago. The void entities had sought to isolate and divide the galaxy's species. Instead, they had catalyzed something unprecedented: true unity through diversity, strength through shared understanding. As the fleet began its return journey, Silura realized that the empire she had served for centuries would never be the same. But perhaps, just perhaps, it would become something greater than its founders had ever imagined. Not through conquest, but through cooperation. Not through force, but through understanding. The stars seemed brighter somehow, as if reality itself approved of this new path forward.